Past 8. Time to meet the panel this morning. Community facilitator Richie Hardcore is with me. Richie, good to have you back.
Good to see you again.
Great to have you here. And he's been described by some as a fantastic talkback host, but not by many. Radio Live afternoon host Willie Jackson is with us. How are you, Willie?
Kia ora, I'm very good, thank you, Paul.
Good to see you. Hey, let's get stuck into rental properties. And I'm going to start with you, Richie. I mean, you're a community facilitator.
Yep.
You probably deal with a lot of people who don't have optimum housing, I would say.
I don't actually deal with people in regards to homelessness and housing and stuff, but as someone who rents myself, I've been, kicked out on 90 days' notice for no explanation. And while these changes are good, it's a great start. I do agree with commentators that have said that you need to go further and give people a stable place to live.
It's tricky though, isn't it? Because, and Willie, you'd appreciate this because because secretly you're actually a capitalist. You probably have umpteen different rental properties. Yes. But you would appreciate that if you go too far, then it's going to bite you in the bottom because landlords will just say, look, it just isn't worth it.
Well, you need some responsible landlords, don't you? Because the reality is we've got some third world housing.
We do have some.
In South Auckland, we've got people freezing. So this is a sort of, I agree with what my mate Twyford said. This is half-baked measures from your government with regards to, we all know it's your government. And, what about the heating, Paul? What about the heating? It's and this waiting 4 years. I mean, how ridiculous. They're just looking after their mates, aren't they, Richie?
Well, that actually just isn't the case. I mean, what they're doing is they're looking after the rental stock. And you would know, I'm sure, that particularly in Auckland, and Auckland is a particular case, but there is not a lot of money to be made out of rental for many of these landlords. Many of them are doing it for capital gain.
But it's about, it's about priorities, though. People have got to be the priority with this government. They've been weak in the housing area. Finally, they're actually relenting because of all the pressure that's been put on them. And people are freezing. You hear it on the radio.
And something had to be done. That's right.
So
but there's much more to it than that, because at the same time, I was talking to Judith Collins this morning and Materia Ture, and they were saying, maybe it should include heating. A lot of these people can't afford to turn anything on. So the landlords could put radiators and everything in the houses, but the tenants couldn't afford the electricity to make them work.
Well,
so it's a huge policy. It's a huge social policy.
It's a start, and I think it's a start from your government.
But why do you refer to them as my government?
Well, you're a secret National Party
well, it's not a secret, is it?
It's not really a secret.
I like how contentious you know what they are. It's like all guns blazing. Really.
No, it's not really a secret, is it, Paul?
It's a fine line between contentious and stupid, Richie. And he treads that line and slips over.
No, but seriously, we've seen your friendship with the Prime Minister.
What do you think? Do you think it's a good...
I think that you have to be so, and it is just a start.
Yeah.
But I think actually the strongest thing about this is the enforcement that they've given to the ministry, so that a tenant can phone up without fear or favour, can phone up and dob in a landlord if they believe that their health and security is at risk.
There's some terrible housing out there.
You've got to worry about the government's commitment to housing.
Yeah.
It's been very weak.
Yes, there's some terrible housing out there, but there's also not enough housing out there.
Well,
and you don't want to do you don't want to introduce any kind of policy that further reduces the amount of housing that's available at the moment, or we'll have more people living in garages.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. The government should actually build more houses. Instead, they shouldn't.
They're working on that. They have a housing policy as well.
They've got a long way to go.
All right, let's move on. Kiwi Rail. Oh, you'll love this, won't you? Because there's no limit to the amount of money you can print. Willie is there.
No.
So should we just throw more and more money at Kiwi Rail?
Do we consider rail part of our infrastructure? Yes or no?
At the moment, we do because it is. Should we consider it part of our infrastructure?
Absolutely. Again, it's about investment, right? We don't have to make money, Paul. This is not Roger. You remember
we do have to make money if we're going to prop up the bloody Kiwi Rail.
No, but that's our infrastructure. That's about obligations and responsibilities to New Zealanders and employment. That's right, Richie. You're on to it, Richie.
Is it the sensible way to go?
Man. I've had a coffee this morning.
You're young, Richie. I mean, this is part of your country. Honestly, from where me and Willie are coming from, you're young. But at the end of the day, should Kiwi Rail be part of our infrastructure?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Willie.
You agree with Willie?
Essentially I do. I think it's important to have state-owned assets, and they don't necessarily have to run at a profit.
Why don't they? Why shouldn't we make them run at a profit? Why shouldn't we make them as efficient as we possibly can and pay their own way at least?
Well, I mean, if you look at other examples of countries that have sold off all their assets, it's been detrimental for large portions of the population.
We're pretty safe actually with Kiwi Rail because no one will buy it.
Where else? Where else in the world?
We renationalised it.
That's right.
We sold it
because it was such a dog.
But you see, Paul, National Party, ACT Party member, it's not just about making money.
Why are you calling him names?
No, because we saw the folly of Rogernomics, didn't we? It was terrible for your average Kiwi.
Yeah. He's right.
That's right. We don't want that.
What it was too much too quickly. It wasn't bad policy. It was too much too quickly.
I think it was bad policy.
Yes,
if you look at neoliberalism, if you want to get serious about it,
yes.
like across the globe, you've had that massive increase between the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
Like Reaganomics,
but as you say, it is happening. It's happening around the globe.
But
it is something we have to watch.
Infrastructure, invest in infrastructure. Very simple, really.
You have to invest in infrastructure that you need and that will function, not infrastructure that will constantly suck money out of your pocket that you could spend on housing and welfare.
I don't know if the two things are mutually exclusive, though.
Yeah. I mean, they are when it comes to Kiwi Rail.
You're onto it,
Honest
Richie.
to God, seriously.
You and I need to come back here more often, Rich.
I can tell you right now, from where you're going, neither of you will be back. It's 22 minutes past 8. Brilliant to have your company this Monday morning. Panel back in a moment.
Feel the mercury rising. I feel your baseline bumping.
Alrighty, welcome back. Great to have you with us. Community facilitator Richie Hardcore, RadioLIVE afternoon host Willie Jackson with me as our panel this morning. Right, a MasterCard survey in the United States, which has just been released, found that 55% of people would rather have nude pictures of themselves leaked online than have their financial information stolen. Now, I am imagining, Willie, even although you can say some truly ridiculous things, that you'd have to agree with them. Surely the nude photo would be preferable to losing your financial information.
No, I can't go along with that. No, it's a cultural thing for us, We're quite private, Māori people. So unlike you're an exhibitionist. You love throwing that horrible body of yours out there. We're quite private, so I'd go with the financial information.
Seriously?
No, because you don't understand. I thought Kingi Taurua was trying to put a bit of sense into you, but it hasn't quite worked by the looks of things. But, you just like getting your gear off. It'd be all right if you look like Richie, but you don't look like Richie.
Okay, so hang on.
You look more like me.
So hang on, Willie. You're compromising your heritage by saying
self-esteem. I appreciate it.
As long as you look okay, you can do it.
Well, look at Richie. Look at you and me. I mean, it's a bit different.
Well, I don't.
That financial information.
I'm not deterred by your visual.
We want to hear about that.
Depends how cold day it is when the photo got taken.
Yeah, but do you think? Well, I see what you mean. But do you think that really matters when we're talking about stealing financial information?
Mate, I don't have a lot of money to steal anyway. So.
If you look at the other side of this, though, 45% of people then have said that they would, like Willie, rather have their financial information stolen than a nude photo on the internet.
Because it lasts with you. Like if you're talking about like bullying and online culture, that stuff doesn't go away. If something's on the internet, it's there forever. If you want to Google someone, you're like, oh, there they are in all their glory.
Paul Henry nude forever. I mean, for goodness sake.
I'm sure there's someone.
Okay, the secret is in that. Yes. Nobody wants to look at Paul Henry nude forever, or indeed anybody else. So if it's all out there, and this is the thing with nudism, if it's out there, it actually doesn't matter. It's no big deal.
It started some careers. Look at Paris Hilton.
I'm just so glad I'm not as hung up as you guys. Okay. Right, the Rainbow Warrior. 30 years ago today, you were 5 years old, Richie, when the Rainbow Warrior was blown up.
Tell everyone. Yeah.
Do you remember it? Do you actually remember it?
I remember some of the news reports coming out of ANZUS. Not when I was 5, but growing up.
I think so. As a younger person, someone who is really too young to really fully be part of the event, what do you think of that in terms of history in New Zealand? What do you think of that moment?
Yeah, I'm super proud. I'm super proud of David Long's stance about being an anti-nuclear country. I'm proud of us dropping out of ANZUS. I'm proud of us letting our morals drive our policy rather than kowtowing to the United States and trying to be part of.
It's interesting that you mentioned David Longy. I mean, David Longy really grew on the world stage during that event. It shone the spotlight on him. And I would say, Willie, we were lucky to have a Prime Minister who was capable of handling an issue like that.
He was magnificent, actually, during that time. And let's remember the Greenpeace efforts of the time. Let's remember why the Rainbow Warrior got hit, because it was a protest boat.
And to be honest with you, that was the golden age of Greenpeace too. They were at their best at that time.
mean,
time.
we were all proud of them. You know, here was little New Zealand doing their thing, and it was shocking what happened. Shocking. It was shocking what happened, how those agents got away with it.
Well,
too.
and also, it was. How out old my bottom. But the other thing that was shocking was that absolute arrogance that the French showed towards New Zealand, because they said, and it's come out subsequently that they were of the view that, oh God, we can do anything we like.
We
like
can
they're
do
ever
anything
going to
we
catch
like.
us.
We can go down to little old New Zealand and kill someone.
Yeah, that's
but
the
we
point I
should,
was gonna make.
I
We
think
forget that
today,
someone died.
absolutely, we should just celebrate
Didn't
the
die, they
efforts
were
of
killed.
Greenpeace. They were great days, and we should be proud of what we did in that time,
Absolutely
and
we
of
should.
Longy.
Absolutely, we should. 30 years ago today. And Rich, you might not know this, but those two agents, do you know who actually caught them?
I do not.
Neighbourhood Watch, a Neighbourhood Watch group in New Zealand. So the French Secret Service came up against the Neighbourhood Watch in New Zealand, and the Neighbourhood Watch won. Isn't that a great yarn?
They only served like a really short time in prison, right?
Yeah,
Well,
they did.
they got away with murder.
Yeah,
Actually,
they
got away
exactly
with
did.
murder.
And have both subsequently been promoted in France as a result of it.
Putting in a commemorative plaque or something
Should do
down the
something.
waterfront down
Should
here in
do
Auckland.
something.
Yeah. Well, the best commemorative plaque is the Rainbow Warrior itself.
Actually, you were
at
a bit of a
Mataura Bay.
protester then too, weren't you?
Yeah, long protester. I actually go out and do it rather than just talk about it, Willie, like you.
Just keep your clothes on, all right?
All right, Willie Jackson, Richie Hardcore, thank you both very much.
it was
We
good
will
time.
probably have you both back, but we'd have to be desperate. It's